Hey,
We back.
I want to see how long you were going to go with that.
Huh?
So I want to see how long you were going to go with that.
I could go all day. If it's the suck at Astros sign, I mean. Take my my glove off. We had a major this weekend.
We did.
Pretty fun golf tournament action. Hope you guys are
Yeah.
doing well. Thanks for joining us. We're going to try to run through as much as we can of what all went on. Another, back-to-back just mega weekends in sports, as we were kind of teasing up for you on Friday. So a lot of good stuff. First things first, though, Tyler, how are you doing?
Man, I'm burning up out here. I think it's still a little over 100 right now, but all in all, not too bad, man. Enjoyed a good weekend full of sports. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Again, I apologize. 5 minutes late to start. I got home late from the bank, so I had to, get as much as I could together. But other than that, can't complain. Here talking sports, hanging out with you guys, cracking wise, and no place I'd rather be. So, also the Dodgers-Padres blossoming rivalry continues tonight.
That's right.
Which I believe is 1-0 still. Is that
still 1-0?
Okay. Well, we will, keep you posted on that. We will cut live to the game. Copyright be damned. Come after me, Manfred.
And it will be our last show ever.
It was worth it. It was worth it. Someone had to put him in his place.
Yeah, let's get the Baron on here so he can show like 8 different things that'll just get us kicked off of this.
Yeah, I know. Actually, I had a video from him in case, for those of you who are not familiar, the Baron was in hog heaven this weekend.
Woo! Woo!
This is a stock footage that I've been using, but
yeah.
So Saturday he hit me up, and we were just texting throughout the golf tournament, and he was like, we should go on house party, and we'll just watch the golf tournament together. And I was like, okay, well, I'm kind of working on some other stuff, but I can throw it on. Excuse me. And put it on, and we watched, maybe like an hour of the golf, and he was like, let's do that again tomorrow. And I was like, all right, at some point, yes, I will get on, but again, I'll be working on stuff, and also, that's me and my wife's only day off together, so I can't go wall to wall. I mean, this golf tournament, it's like 12 hours long.
You better be here, son.
Yeah. So, as soon as Bryson gets up on the tee, he texts me like, let's go on house party whenever you're ready. Bryson's teeing off. You got to see what's going to happen. And I was like, well, he's definitely going to be out there for like 3.5 hours. So give me a second.
Right.
Within 1 minute, I see the notification. Aaron Davis is in house party. And then maybe within 2 minutes, Aaron Davis wants to chat. And he hit me like twice with that. I was like, what did you not understand? And with his mega wall of screens, he was obviously watching that, but everything else at the same time. And I was trying to like flip back and forth between commercials with my one TV, which is one very nice TV. And I had, access to put everything pretty much on, but I can only look at one at a time. And especially for the golf, he was like one shot ahead of me. So there were some spoilers I was getting frustrated with, but still kind of a cool experience. It's like we were pretty much both hanging out in the man cave watching the golf tournament. So thoroughly enjoyed that. And actually, let's just throw up the final leaderboard. A lot of low rounds, except for maybe Koepka. Sunday kind of had a meltdown, which is atypical for him.
Yeah.
But I know there at one point with maybe 3 or 4 holes left for anyone out on the course still. I think you had 6 or 7 guys tied for the lead at -10. So guys were busting moves out there. Just a lot of nice shots all over the place. And just a good tournament. Felt good to see a major again. Honestly, I was telling the Baron, the way they had set up the Memorial, that course was, well, you could just look at the scores. The course was more difficult. And they can't really dry out the greens as much there in the Bay Area because there's just a lot more moisture in the air.
It's it's always moist up there.
They're going to do, all the classic tricks of, growing out the rough, trying to dry out the greens as much as they can, making the course longer. But guys were having, big days out there. And as you can see there at the top, the 23-year-old, Colin Morikawa, rips the first major in over a calendar year. So shout out to him.
Yep.
And another thing that was pretty funny in the aftermath, he got the trophy there, and then he did a victory shake the trophy. At which point he found out the lid is not attached. So you can kind of see the shock on his face. It actually made a pretty funny sound on TV. Like, as you know, we can't play the video, but you can find it. I trust you guys are savvy enough on the internet and social media to find that video if you have not seen it.
True.
But all in all, a good round, especially our boy DeChambeau almost getting cut off there. Let me just hide the banner for a second. But he goes -10 as well. So you had all these guys tied for fourth. But Morikawa at a certain point with about 5 or 6 holes left, it just looked like he was in a zone. I saw a tweet that someone sent out. Like some of the shots he's hitting are like video game shots when you're on your way to scoring like a 54 or some like ridiculous score that will never happen in actual golf.
Right.
Because he was executing the shots, making them when he needed to, keeping guys away from him or overtaking them when he had to. And good for him, though. I think he's the 3rd youngest guy to ever win that tournament. So, and by all indications, I know when PGA first came back, they were down in Texas. He was one of the 2 guys that had the meltdowns on the little like 2-footer putts to get knocked out. I was a little worried about that, but he has bounced back, obviously very strong since then, and got his first major under his belt.
Yeah, and it's only the second major he's ever competed in. And I mean, talk about just having a great second half of the weekend. I think he was only at 2 under after the first 2 rounds. Obviously made the cut. I think the cut was 1 over, but he was only at 2 under after the second round, and then he comes out there and shoots a 5 under in round 3, and then a 6 under on the last day. I mean, just absolutely locked in at the end of it, when he needed to be. And DeChambeau himself had, I mean, if you look at his scores, I think he was 2 under the first day. He shot par the second day, and then he shot 4 under each of the last 2 days. I mean, like, guys were just having some great rounds out there, with the exception of, as you said, Brooks Koepka, who shot a 4 over on Sunday, which
he had a look at it Sunday morning, but like I said, pretty rare to see Brooks just sort of fall apart there. The Baron, again, wild speculation from the Baron. We don't know. Maybe something's come out on this now. He seemed to think something was bothering Koepka with his knee. I don't know. We were still holding out hope late Saturday that the Koepka DeChambeau pairing would happen.
So close. 1 stroke off. 1 stroke off.
Everything in their history of their feud has seemed to indicate to me that they both still have a chance. I think if Koepka starts hitting some shots, rolling in some putts, I would be more inclined to think that DeChambeau would fall off, but it was the opposite. Koepka just didn't really have it on Sunday, and DeChambeau was strong. I know he kind of gets this reputation. Another good thing for DeChambeau, no run-ins with rules officials or cameramen or volunteers or anything like that. Just doing petty things to slow down the round.
Uber drivers, nothing like that. He's keeping it clean this weekend.
But Modesto's favorite son did have a strong showing, and again, shout out to Colin for getting that win. We do have a couple comments from Cease. I believe the first one is just shading me. What is working late at a bank, 5:05 p.m.? You would think that, especially because we close at 4, and yet I still can't leave till almost 6. So that's very annoying. And also, as it pertains to the golf, Morikawa has made $6.8 million in 16 months as a pro. So good on the lad.
Yeah, good on him. And he's only, 20? You said he's 23?
23. So
man,
there's a lot more of that to come for Morikawa. So, and man, I mean, some of the shots were just insane. Like, it was, okay, well, I don't even know who's going to, I mean, Casey was hanging with him for a while. Casey was pulling some shots out that were also just ridiculously difficult. But Morikawa just had that juice factor. Like, last 5 or 6 holes, like I said, it was just like, I think this guy's going to do it. And he just kept it pinned to the floor and saw that thing out. So good for him.
Yeah, definitely. No, it was it was a good tournament. I mean, I watched a lot more of this than I usually do with golf tournaments, and I overall enjoyed it. I did like the aspect of, I know you talked about it last week, how they were on a public course. It was just something kind of different from what you normally see. I mean, not that it mattered much because you don't have a crowd there anyways, but it was just cool. Just again, seeing a different course, especially for such a big tournament. I really enjoyed it over the weekend.
It was kind of fun at the end too. Maybe the last 2 or 3 holes, for anyone still out on the course, because a lot of you actually kind of heard a gallery response, like as far as cheers and applause, because a lot of the volunteers, people that were done working for the day, came back out just to spectate. So there actually was some crowd noise. And then a couple different times they had shots of people, peeking through holes in the gate, which was pretty funny. I know kind of midway through his round on Sunday, Tony Finau, I think he birdied or something, and someone from way off the course was like, "Woo, yeah!" And even he just busted out laughing as he walked off the green. So that was pretty funny. Danny checking
overall.
in. Shout out to Danny for tuning in.
Nice. Thank you, Danny.
But yeah, overall, just exciting to see a major again. I think that was the main thing.
Definitely.
Golf's been doing a good job. I think they've been, pulling pretty good ratings too, as being not one of the very first sports to come back, but there's a lot of, obviously ratings would be even higher if Tiger, he hasn't really played in that many tournaments since he came back, but a lot of exciting young golfers. Like I said, storylines. We'll see where the Koepka DeChambeau beef goes. I'm always waiting for that.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
Again, there is no way at this point. I mean, looking at DeChambeau on Sunday, he's good at golf. Again, could have some back trouble down the road because that swing is really violent. But
very good.
There's no way on this earth that he has abs anymore. So I'm just putting that out there. It cannot be possible.
So now here's a question I have for you. We already know that DeChambeau can rip it to hell. 440-yard drives. What if he started working with jackhammer? How far do you think you'd hit it?
I mean, if you get those
over the mountains, maybe
sky's the limit. I think maybe 700, 800 yards.
Yeah.
Wham! Boo! Boo, baby! It's hammer time.
And that's conservative estimate. We may see, the first 1,000-yard drive. He could just drive 3 holes.
Yeah, exactly. I would say he could be on the first tee and hit a hole-in-one onto the 3rd hole, I think.
Also, one little side note.
Baron.
I saw trending coming out of the weekend is that people are now clamoring for Phil to get in the booth because of some of his interviews and things like that, interactions with the...
Ronnie,
won't bother me till the next major. No,
I hope you feel terrible.
Look, Baron, it's fine. I enjoyed it. I was working on some other projects, which we will, touch on before we get out of here tonight. But anytime we're going to have these mega sports weekends, NHL playoffs are set and going to start tomorrow. NBA playoffs right around the corner. Hit me up. We will, we'll spend some weekends watching sports. So don't get discouraged. I just may have to actually do some other things at the same time. But let's. Go ahead.
No. You go. I think we were going to go the same thing. You go ahead.
I was just going to quickly, switch over to the hockey situation. Everyone's off today, where they've, pretty much been sprinting through the play-in games, the round robin stuff, to get to this point, and the actual playoffs will start tomorrow. Here is the bracket officially, and the Flyers busting a mega move to get up there to that number 1 seed. So you've got Philadelphia and Vegas as the number 1 seeds. Should be a really good series. Vegas, Chicago. Chicago obviously knocked the Oilers out of it, and they showed kind of their veteran savvy. I know the team is not, all the guys that were there for their peak years of that run aren't there anymore, but the core guys are there, and that's a dangerous team in the playoffs. One thing I did hear also as it pertains to the 2 seed in the West, Colorado, is they are unfortunately, and I know Tyler can sympathize with this, going through the dreaded cable TV dispute with Comcast and NBC in Colorado right now. So a lot of Avalanche fans may not be able to see a lot of these games, but shout out to bootlegs. They are out there.
Yeah,
I can't tell you where, but they are out there. You can find them if you have
they're there. They're not hard to find.
any initiative at all. I'm just saying, Colorado, keep the faith.
But yeah, no, it was a good weekend in the playoffs. I did find it funny that the two host teams both got knocked out in the qualifying rounds. Edmonton and Toronto both getting knocked out. Although a part of me was pulling for Toronto just to watch a Torts meltdown for Columbus getting eliminated, but they got through, so we'll have to wait on that. But yeah, looking forward to that. They're starting up tomorrow with the I guess the official technical first round of the playoffs, the beginning of the best of 7 series. Although you said everybody was off tonight, the NHL did actually host the draw for the the at-large bids in the upcoming draft. I guess so. The New York Rangers wound up winning the number 1 overall pick, which
Right.
I think amongst that group of teams, I'm like I guess least objectionable to it because they weren't that great this year. I still think it's ridiculous that any team that was in that qualifying round could get the first round pick or the number 1 pick. But if it had to be anybody, like maybe the Wild or the Rangers, I was okay with.
I'd be willing to settle for that, yeah. And I mean, it is still the Rangers. There's potential for some bungling there, although.
Oh yeah.
When you're in really even top 5, territory in the NHL draft, there is a lot of talent there, and especially with hockey, where you can play pretty effectively in the NHL, into your 40s. So if you're drafting, an 18, 19-year-old kid, that could be a franchise maker. So again, a little bit frustrating that a team that still had a chance to make the playoffs ends up with the number 1 pick, but I'm looking at it as, lesser of however many evils could have been otherwise.
A lesser of 8 evils.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like as long as it wasn't Pittsburgh or Edmonton or even to an extent Nashville. I don't hate Nashville, but they've already got a lot of talent. They don't need any more. I'm pretty okay with how it turned out.
Yeah, and so far, I mean, just in general, I feel like the NHL's been doing a good job. Obviously player safety-wise, been some good games. Already had some upsets, like you said. Edmonton's not even there. The Flyers moving up to the number 1 seed. We're not talking about real home ice advantage, which is pretty huge in the playoffs, but you get that last line change and everything like that. So definitely benefits you still to make that move and try to get the best seeding you can. So, shout out to them for doing that.
Yeah, actually, I didn't even realize it until just right now, kind of looking at the brackets, but both the teams that were the number 1 seeds both ended up with the number 4 seeds. They lost all their games in that round robin series with of course, St. Louis, who was the 1 seed in the West, and then Boston, who was I believe they were the President's Cup winners with the best record in the regular season, go 0-3 in that little round robin and wound up having to go through the 4 seed. So really interesting to see how that turns out. But now it really gets into it. Now it's really the fun stuff, and definitely looking forward to lots of hockey games all day, every day for the next few weeks here.
Yeah, and I mean the lack of fans in a playoff situation is going to be kind of a bummer for sure, but also could be sort of a novelty to see. Like okay, we've rolled out the best teams now, and for the most part, I would say most of the teams, sorry Edmonton, look like they came back from the layoff pretty ready to go. I mean, some teams even look much better than they did before. So, as far as just ready to, we're playing meaningful games as soon as we get back. So, had some good games there. I'm looking forward to the playoffs, and we'll keep you posted as it goes. But tune in tomorrow night as that kicks off. Sorry, Colorado, but
hey, maybe you'll get the NBCSN game. I mean, maybe
find a way. It's not that hard on the internet. That's all I can say.
I can assure you it's not hard.
For entertainment purposes only, I say that.
Of course.
But that was the only thing I wanted to touch on with hockey. Again, very excited they're going in the playoffs.
Yes.
I guess, where do you want to go next with this? We had many events over the weekend, but I'll let you choose the next one to kind of dip into here.
Oh, we're going local boy then. We are going local boy. Kevin Harvick, the man.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely killing it this weekend. We had back-to-back races Saturday and Sunday in Michigan for the NASCAR Cup Series. Kevin Harvick all weekend, anytime I looked at the screen, he was in first or second, maybe third. Like, he was just out in front. Both races this weekend, that second race, Denny Hamlin, maybe if he had another lap, he might have caught Kevin Harvick. I don't know. He made it pretty close to the last few laps, but Harvick just absolutely killing it. And he got his 54th and 55th career win, which ties him for 10th all time with hot Rusty Wallace, and only puts him one behind his longtime rival Kyle Busch, which at this rate, Kevin Harvick may pass him by the end of the month. But just absolutely great racing from him this weekend.
And he had the car, obviously. For these, when they do 2 cup races in one weekend, it's the same car unless the car breaks or it gets wrecked out. They travel with more than one car, but you got to race that same car, and then they flip the grid over. So I believe Harvick started 20th on Sunday, but he just had more car than everyone. I know Saturday there was it didn't really escalate into a full-on controversy, even though, as Tyler alluded to, Harvick and Busch have kind of a long-standing rivalry there, and it's kind of cooled off last couple of years, but it's been a thing for a while, and Harvick may or may not have caused him to get loose there in the Saturday race. But even Busch was, he was a little salty about it. No one wants to get crashed out of the race or out of contention, but even he made a point to mention, whether or not that happened. Obviously I wanted to be up more at the front, but I think everyone out here was racing for second with how strong that car was. And that was, after Saturday. And Busch had a good race on Sunday, too. From what I got out of Busch, though, just his tone and everything, it seems like he's more – there's a little frustration coming out with the car that he's had. He – obviously, everyone thanks their team, their sponsors, everything like that. But it seemed like he was kind of cautiously optimistic that they had a good weekend for his team. But it felt like there was a little frustration coming out as far as I'm just happy we had put back, 2 back-to-back strong races together, and we got to build off that and not worry about, like, obviously Harvick and Hamlin have been going 1-2, not literally every race, but they've been up there pretty much every weekend. So I think he's more of just sort of looking within the team, like, how are we going to finish this out strong? And then, at Sunday, Hamlin gave him a nice charge there at the end. There was a couple interesting laps, last 5 or 6 laps, where Hamlin was trying to make a move. Looked like he might have been able to do it, as Tyler said, if he had another lap. I did kind of appreciate, it was in vain. I think it would have ever worked anyway, but right at the finish line, he still dipped down right on the apron, just to maybe.
Yeah. Hey, take your shot. Take your shot, man.
For it. That's the time to just let it loose. So shout out to Harvick, though. As you know, we are the Kevin Harvick Show of record. We are definitely Kevin Harvick stands on this program as the hometown hero.
Yeah, I took a look at the standings kind of just before we jumped on air, and Harvick is, as far as just pure points, he's running away with it. He's got 916. The next closest, I think, was 776. He's got 6 wins, 15 top 5s, 19 top 10s this season. Like, he is just absolutely on form. But you know what? The craziest thing is dominant as both him and Hamlin have been this year. With that new playoff format, it might not even matter, man. All you got to do is beat 3 other guys in that last race of the year, and you win the championship. So, that's the funniest thing. Is like it could be all for naught, but the way he's looking right now, man, he's just absolutely in tune with every track he's on. His car's killing it. His team's killing it. And we as Bakersfield boys couldn't be more happy. I mean, it's really cool seeing a local guy that we both would have seen in his early days racing at Mesa Marin. And now he's, among the top 10 winningest NASCAR guys of all time. Like, that's kind of crazy to think. Like, just, some dude that we saw that went to North High, that wrestled at North High is that's right. Is now amongst the top 10 all time in his sport. That's it's kind of crazy to me. Like, it's really weird to think about.
And like Tyler said, getting the playoffs, things can happen. It's a real small sample size, but he is making a lot of money. Let's just say that. So good for him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's doing well.
Going back to the comments real quick, Cease popping in here again. What he's trying to say, Baron, is that he's already got a best friend. Dang, piling on the Baron.
Ouch.
Baron, you
Ouch.
can call me. We can watch the sports. Don't even worry.
Ouch.
And don't like to see this. Apparently, Austin
sake.
Hedges going with a home run.
Dodger killer Austin Hedges.
There's so much wrong with that. Can we just not with Austin Hedges? Can we just not?
Austin Hedges, who's barely batting 100 for the season, but batting like 600 against the Dodgers.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Way to go, Dodgers. Way to go.
And another, this is a little off topic, but I do want to touch on the comments here. Danny coming in, thoughts on kneeling in sport for the national anthem. Like I said, I sort of see both sides of the debate. I think it's valid on both sides, but again, I think a lot gets misconstrued about what it means. I don't think it's some totally like anti the troops thing. I don't think it has anything to do with that. But I can see, where other people are kind of put off by that. So it is what it is, but we're going to see a lot more of it. So you just kind of have to roll with it. I haven't seen anything that was just like overtly disrespectful by, doing the knee. People are going to do it. It's their choice. The leagues are letting them do it. So we're definitely going to see more of it.
Yeah, kind of my whole thing is, like, agree with it or not, they do have that right to protest. And like Ronnie said, it's as long as you understand what they're protesting. It's not any, like, I hate the flag, I hate the troops. Like, no, that's not what they're protesting. That's never what it's been about. So, again, you don't have to like it, but, people have that right to protest. So, it is what it is. And like Ronnie said, you're going to see a lot more of it. So.
And real quick, I think it should be probably a good time in the show to check in with the fight doctor. We did have, as you know, America's sweetheart, my king, my captain, Derek Lewis, in the main event this weekend, and a couple other notable fights. So let's turn it over to the fight doctor and get that breakdown.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. The heavyweight champion of the world.
Yes.
The answer is yes, you son of a bitch.
Woo! Always gets me fired up. Throwing
Love
it to
it.
the fight doctor.
Love it.
What did we see this weekend?
Really? As a quick note, both of those get me fired up. Both the intro and the Ric Flair chanting. Any Ric Flair yelling, I'm all for it.
Which is most of.
But
how he
so like
communicates.
I said, we had a right, yeah, lots of yelling, lots of wooing, lots of comments of saying, I'll take your lady, stuff like that. It's what Ric Flair does. But as Ronnie said, we had a fight night this weekend. We'll jump right into the big main event, which was Derek Lewis taking on Alexei Oleinik. Gotta say, in the first round, man, it was interesting. Oleinik kind of got top control for a while, put him in a bulldog choke and just kind of kept him there for about a solid 2 or so minutes. In fact, I know that excuse me, Lewis had said, I was just waiting for that round to run out because I was just kind of stuck there. I think he said the term he had me in that British bulldog or whatever, which the old school wrestling fan of me definitely appreciates. But then the second round started, and Lewis just wasted no time, came out, went for a flying knee, missed it, but then followed up with a massive right that dropped Oleinik, got on top of him, threw some punches. Herb Dean called it, thought it was a good stop on Herb Dean's part as well. So with that, Lewis becomes the all-time knockout record for UFC heavyweights. So, big props to him. Of course, he gave us a little something in the post-fight as well. He had his headphones on. He was kind of waiting to go, and as Paul Felder started the interview, Lewis was kind of looking off screen, and he goes, "Man, I got to take a shit." Oh, we're on, which was just absolutely perfect.
Well, this is always a a pretty big concern for D. Lewis.
What hurt when he kicked you? And obviously, it hurt pretty bad. I mean,
It was more of I'm just trying not to shit on myself, because I'm holding my gas in and trying to breathe at the same time. I just didn't want to shit in front of national TV.
No one wants to let it go on national TV. Sympathize
Nobody
with that.
does. That's no. You wake up in the morning, you're like, all right, I just don't want to shit myself on TV. That's it. That's all I don't want to do. And he did do it, as far as I could tell. So again, good for Lewis. Kind of again throwing his hat in there. Like the top 3 of that division is kind of a step above everybody else. But he's throwing his hat in there, saying, "Look, man, beyond those guys, I could be the next one." So we'll see what happens with that. I'm sure he'll have to take another fight or two before he gets any shots there. In the co-main event, much to my surprise, I thought Chris Weidman came out and beat Omari Akhmedov by decision. He didn't look like the old Chris Weidman. He definitely didn't look like the champ, but it was probably one of his better showings in a while. Kind of used his wrestling, got on top, went for some submissions, couldn't really find anything. But all in all, did really good to kind of smother Akhmedov, get back in the win column. I don't know where he's going to go from here just because he lost so many fights in a row to so many big names. But again, good on him. Always good to see former champs getting those wins again. And one other fight that I did want to kind of go over was the first fight on the main card, which was Beneil Dariush beating Scott Holtzman by knockout with, I believe Ronnie has a photo of it.
Yes.
He broke out the spinning shit. Whoo! Just nails him with a spinning back fist that dropped him. Ref called it right then and there. It was overall, it was a really good showing by Dariush. I mean, it was pretty quick fight. Ended about 4 minutes, but he laid in a lot of shots on Holtzman. Holtzman was just eating a ton of them. Kept going forward until
you could see there he's already pretty damaged in the face area.
Yeah. And then Dariush out of nowhere hits the spinning back fist, drops him. So, definitely the most exciting knockout of the night. Overall, thought it was a solid card. I didn't get to see the prelim fights. I saw a few highlights. I read the prelim fights were actually really good. So if I get a chance, I'm going to go back and check those out. But overall, solid card. And, now we're leading up to this upcoming weekend where we got the heavyweight title fight, the trilogy fight between Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic. Definitely looking forward to that. We'll have go a little bit more in depth on that on Friday as well. There's a few other fights in the card, but overall, UFC delivers, man. They have not had any letdowns since they've had a couple fights that were okay, but they haven't really had anything to let down since they've come back from the coronavirus. So definitely props to UFC for constantly delivering.
Yeah, we've had pretty good at least 1 or 2 or 3 fights you could pick out of most of these weekends, even if it's in the normal time. Oh, it's a fight night. I don't know if I'm going to see any of it, whatever. But they're doing a good job with it. And yes, they basically kind of sort of bubble for the event, I guess, kind of. But it's not like a bubble where everyone's in the same place just waiting for their next fight, months away.
Right.
So as far as that goes, they've kept it pretty under control as well. And we'll definitely get you guys ready for the next. Was it 253? I think.
253
coming up. So we'll take a deeper dive into that as we get closer to that. But very, very satisfied so far with what I'm seeing out of the UFC, just on a week by week basis. Couple things in the comments here. We got Nick. All right, see, it's easier to get your comment here when you're not just yelling at the screen. That doesn't work like that. So I think the chances, I don't know if I would say they're high, but it's certainly precarious if another team gets shut down for a week and a half, 2 weeks, because you're going to get to the point where the end of the season, no one's played the same amount of games, and everyone's having to squeeze in 7-inning double headers, things like that. And then you just go off winning percentage. I mean, at that point, maybe you just want to have an outbreak. Like, we couldn't play for 2 weeks. Sorry, but we're just chilling with our winning percentage. But definitely something to keep an eye on, because one or, God forbid, 2 more of these, it's really going to mess up the schedule. So I don't know how they're going to, get through that. And then just putting a bow on the UFC comments here. Cease coming in. Usually you want your horse to shit before the race.
That's true.
Wrong sport. But I mean, that's
No,
correct for that.
you are right though. You're absolutely right, Cease.
I don't, you know,
Well done,
well,
fact.
UFC, you should probably get that out of the way before you, step into the ring as well, because anything can happen out there.
Just take some destructive kick right to the midsection, and it's all over.
And then Brad, piling in on that, Cease hopes everyone wakes up and wants to ship things, which that is good for business when you're out there on the open road. So another valid point. Thank you guys for tuning in. Last thing really I wanted to touch on, because I know everyone, well, except for fans of one team, pretty much universally agrees that the Astros are dickheads. And they showed that again this weekend against the A's, who, by the way, swept them. Shout out to the A's. As you can see with my Dodger hat. It's actually a Cal Poly Night hat, but it's A's colors, so I like the tie-in.
Same colors.
But, yeah, Ramon Laureano got hit, I believe, 3 times in the series. And this thing just escalated Sunday, and it finally just came to a head. Unfortunately, because of a stupid hitting coach. But Tyler, if you want to kind of set this up for us.
Yeah, so as I said, Laureano got hit 3 times in the series, including twice on Sunday. After he got hit the second time, he was kind of, jawing with the pitcher at the time, and the pitcher said, "Hey, man, it was a slider got away," which I thought was hilarious. Laureano actually was saying, "Hey, your slider's got a break," and kind of doing the break motion to him.
Yeah,
but
if you have a chance,
gets the first
definitely check out the John Boy breakdown.
Always,
John Boy always bringing the heat. And the whole analysis into him sort of explaining, like, no, this is how you should be gripping it. You got to get on top of it because you're.
But, so he gets to first base. It looks like everything's fine. And then all of a sudden you see the clown of a hitting coach, Alex Cintrone, start stepping out of the dugout, shouting at Laureano. Laureano kind of looks back at him saying, hey, like, what's going on? And then he steps out and Cintrone gives the, hey, come on, come bring it signal, which I think he was doing that trying to, act tough, because Laureano wasted no time and charged directly at him, which then Cintrone kind of took a step back and let a few guys get in front of him, and then just kind of stood and watched while
and didn't do anything.
Just didn't do anything the whole time, which hey, nice job. Way to be a tough guy.
Right.
So then a huge, both benches cleared, not a ton of punches thrown, but typical baseball brawl. But, now there's obviously going to be some suspensions handed out here. I mean, Laureano, look, you got to suspend him for charging him, especially, with all the, the COVID restrictions they've been putting in. And Laureano even said so much. Like, he did say that he deserves to be suspended, but then he also did say that he had a quote from a Jeff Passan tweet earlier saying that I regret chasing him I regret charging him because he's a loser, which I was like, God dang, man, that's just straight up calling him a loser. That's pretty rough. But so the MLB Manfred's office is kind of they said they're reviewing video. They'll probably announce tomorrow what these suspensions are. In Cintrone, we've already kind of talked about him, how after the whole Joe Kelly situation a week or two ago, he was crying to a newspaper saying that Joe Kelly making fun of Carlos Correa was a step too far, which like. How does one team just make themselves look like so much worse every time something happens? It boggles my mind.
And
yes, as
you know where we stand. And as I said, pretty much everyone else that's not an Astros fan at this point is just tired of their shit. Yeah. So if it's not just a totally fake apology tour, even though you clearly got caught, it's complaining about things, the seemingly bizarre lack of discipline that they face for anything. It's getting a little tired. So hopefully maybe we see some kind of, I still want the discipline to actually be consistent. So
yes,
I don't want it to just be way over the top, but if it happened to the Astros, I wouldn't be that mad at this point, because it seems like they pretty much skate through everything. Whereas, Joe Kelly getting 8 games,
I mean, Cintrone has to get something, right? I mean, first of all, that is unacceptable as a coach to go out there and tell like a player, like, hey, come fight me. Like that, just right off the bat, that's unacceptable. And then, obviously he's been a clown the whole time. Like he's got to get something,
Well, especially like you said with the, health concerns, if it was someone on the field, I get it. Things get heated.
Sure.
People might start, posturing up like, hey, come after me or whatever. But you weren't even involved. You were just standing in the dugout and then inviting some guy to charge you. Basically, then obviously the benches are going to clear. People are going to be in contact, inciting that. So just for that alone, I think you're just an idiot or a loser, maybe as Laureano dubbed him. But I think he's, obviously Laureano's going to get suspended. Multiple other people are going to be suspended just for the physical contact and, whatever else. I don't know when it gets to the point where it's like a leaving the bench type, like NBA situation where you just automatically get a certain amount of fine or suspension. But just kind of bizarre that, for Centron to do that. I really did not understand that. And just, again, making the Astros look more and more like MLB's biggest turds.
I actually thought this is something I hadn't even put together until last night. I was texting with a good friend of the show, Jeff Elms, and the A's got hit 5 times by pitches in the series against the Astros. I didn't even piece it together. Is Mike Fiers is on the A's, and he's the one that left the Astros and kind of started everything. So I kind of it makes you really wonder, like, was there something more to those five hit batsmen than just pitchers losing control?
Well, and I think, too, again, I'm sure pretty much no one is sad about this, but the Astros are kind of scuffling right now. They lose a series to the Diamondbacks, and then the A's sweep them. The A's are super hot right now.
A's are good. A's are really good,
10 games in a row in a 60-game season, that's pretty substantial. But interested to see, I don't think they're going to have the full-on just retribution tour against the Astros all season because guys realize what the stakes are as far as if I get suspended 8 games in the case of Joe Kelly, that takes me out for a long time. So you can't really just go, head hunting. But it seems like the Astros kind of doing some of this stuff to themselves, just sort of,
totally
stepping in things that they don't really need to be mixing it up in. But we'll see how that plays out over the rest of the season. We'll see if what happens with the discipline, and again, God forbid any kind of contact outbreaks or anything come out of this. But I'm sure everyone's been tested since then, so the results will probably be in if they're not already in pretty soon.
Yeah, I think they should announce something tomorrow in your. Since you mentioned Joe Kelly, I believe his arbitration hearing was today, so we should get some announcement on his. Although he did just go on the 10-day DL, which 60-game season, 10-day DL is pretty significant. But
there's plenty of great shirts still available, though.
Yes.
Celebrating America's favorite current baseball player, Joe Kelly, the Wild Man, Joe Kelly Fight Club, in full effect.
Hit him with the Trump.
But I just wanted to touch on that. We had baseball, pretty much all weekend, as teams are, for the most part. I think the Cardinals are they still out? They're not playing.
Still out.
So the Marlins are back, playing really well, actually.
Yeah.
And Phillies are trying to catch up. They had the 2 doubleheaders against the Braves where they just got rocked yesterday, pretty bad. It was kind of interesting to. I was flipping back and forth because I can go from the MLB app or just watch it. It was on TBS the first game, and it seemed like TBS just had more microphones in general. And they were doing the fake crowd noise. When I had it on like the Comcast Philadelphia, they weren't doing the fake crowd noise, and they didn't have as many mics everywhere on the field. But I guess people at Phillies games have been going just outside the park and just blasting off air horns at different random intervals. So that was kind of entertaining. Even Ernie Johnson, who was calling the play-by-play, he was starting to lose it on the air horns. He was like, I don't know how much more I could take of this. But hey, fortunately for him, it was only a 7-inning game. And they got out of there and didn't cover the second game. So kind of like the guys at the PGA, what are you going to do? People are still going to try to keep eyes on it. And, Philly fans are passionate, shall we say. So
putting it nicely,
they're going to find a way to get in there and still agitate as best they can. But overall, pretty good weekend of baseball as far as except for the Astros, which, everyone hates all the time.
It's a good weekend for everybody else, though.
Yeah, getting games knocked out. Like I said, Philly's getting a chance to make up some of the ground because they still haven't played nearly as many games as most of the other teams. So Baseball's still chugging along for now, so we'll stay tuned to that. I'm sure I'll be catching some of this Dodger game here, unless Austin Hedges hits another home run. I may never watch a Dodger game again because that is just intolerable. Cannot believe that.
I think something's going through my bedroom window if he hits another home run.
But really, the last thing I had is I just wanted to again thank you guys for watching as always. And Wednesday, we have decided we are going to do our Night of 10,000 Views Spectacular Extravaganza. So please tune in. We're going to have some highlights from the history of the show. A couple past visitors may check in. And we're going to try to, put a nice little gala, shall we say, together for you guys.
Yeah.
Just really to thank you guys for tuning in and supporting the show. So, again, can't stress that out. I mean, we're past the 10,000 at this point. We're actually, I think when we went on the air, we were at 11,060 something total views. So, thank you guys again, and just definitely be there on Wednesday. It's going to be, kind of just a celebration of like I said, you guys tuning in, commenting, kind of a best of type situation. So, won't want to miss that on Wednesday. Look forward to seeing you guys there and hitting us up with your calls or comments, of course.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that show. We can't just say thank you enough. I mean, the fact that anybody want to, we get 10,000 people want to watch us talk and just bullshit like we would do any normal time is kind of crazy to both of us. So definitely thank you guys for for tuning in. Definitely leaving your comments, any calls you come. We appreciate it all the interaction. We love it. So definitely putting. Ronnie's been putting in some work, putting some good stuff together, some special stuff together for Wednesday. So definitely check in on that.
The answer is yes, you son of a bitch.
I mean, with content like that, 11,000 viewers can't be.
Oh yeah, you gotta love it.
But thank you guys. Yeah, we're gonna put it together for you on Wednesday. It is gonna be the short, 30-minute slot that we have on the Wednesday schedule, but we'll try to pack it out with as much fun stuff as we can for you. And definitely look forward to all you guys tuning in if you can or catching it on the replay. So just again, thank you.
Oh, you know what? Actually, sorry, I was just looking at my notes. There was one more thing I did want to touch on real quick before we go. So there was some news, some conflicting news in college football today that the Big Ten and Pac-12 may or may not cancel their season. It was reported on Dan Patrick they were going to do it, and then some tweets came out saying no, the Pac-10 commissioners haven't had a vote yet. I don't know where this is coming from.
The PTA is not disbanding.
But two things that are official are that break both of our hearts as massive college football fans is previously the MAC has said they will not have football this fall, which that's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights, watching some random game with 200 people in the stands. That the game is still freaking awesome. We'll miss that. And then the Mountain West also announced today that they will be canceling fall sports as well, which now means that I don't know what I'm going to do football season. Sunday at 1 a.m. I'm not going to be watching, the third quarter of a Hawaii football game. I don't know what I'm going to do, but definitely as big college football fans, kind of seen it coming, but it still hurts nonetheless.
Yeah, and I mean, like we've kind of been saying all along, as the reality of the situation as far as organizing the travel, the conference schedules, even when you just take out the non-league games, it becomes more and more clear that there's going to be more dominoes falling. Whether or not the Big Ten and Pac-12 things come true, we don't know, but it seems like there's at least a strong possibility, a very real possibility that could happen. And then where you go from there, who knows? We've just pretty steadily been seeing slightly bigger leagues, just say we're not going to do it. So we'll see. I know the stakes are higher money-wise for the bigger leagues, but for any school that's really playing D1 football, the stakes are high because that funds the rest of the athletic department. So,
Right.
There's already having some tough decisions had to be made for Mountain West and the MAC to tap out. So we'll see. I'm not holding my breath on that, but we'll see what happens in the coming days.
Yeah. Well, that was the last thing I saw in my notes. Or anything else you wanted to touch on before we get out of here?
No, just real quick, I want to throw some love out to Jaime for commenting in. Brad Hutchings is alive, tuning in. So we
There
got
you go.
that's a comment referencing a comment that referenced a comment. I like that. And
Commentception.
exactly. Also chiming in, he wants to see a 50-hour Ken Burns documentary on the 2020 Astros season. And then lastly,
If it's Ken Burns
fittingly,
on it.
hits us with the Keep the Fire, which definitely agree. And thank you, as always, Jaime, for tuning in. Hit us up on Wednesday for the special. But no, that's all I got. Again, pretty good show for a Monday. Apologize for being a couple minutes late. Just trying to get some last-minute things together. But thank you, as always, for tuning in and, keeping the ship afloat. So, Tyler, without further ado, I will defer to you and give you the last word here.
Yeah. Again, thanks for tuning in. Always, guys. Definitely stick around here on the Quarantine Network. We got the book club for TV with Patrice coming up. But you guys know it. As always, keep the fire.
Keep the fire.
At the buzzer.